Hi, this is Forrest Lightberg with the Santa Barbara Response Network. Today I'm here with Alejandra Cortez, Ali Cortez, and Jina Carvalho, who are both on the board of directors of the Santa Barbara Response Network. Today is one of our Compassion Center lives focused on psychological first aid as a response in our community, in a response to the COVID-19 outbreak and all that and all of their implications during this time. The response network itself has been providing psychological first aid for over 11 years in Santa Barbara County. And in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Santa Barbara Response Network is committed to evolving and meeting the needs that we're facing in the community during this time. I want to introduce Jina and Ali here, and then talk just a little bit about where you can find more information about us, and then we'll dive into the topic today, which is about what is psychological first aid, why is it relevant, how can we access it, et cetera, et cetera. So without further ado, I want to introduce Jina Carvalho, who is the co-founder of the Santa Barbara Response Network, as well as Ali Cortez, who is a youth outreach specialist, as well as a board member on the Santa Barbara Response Network, and also the host of our Spanish Facebook Live Compassion Centers, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. It's so great to be here.
Yeah, it's so great to share this with both of you, because I thought about wanting us to get together because it was time for us to kind of check in. And one of the things when COVID hit, Ali and I got together and we talked about how are we going to respond? What are we going to do? How can we, since we can't do face-to-face, how can we respond? How can we reach out? How can we help our community? Ali being so committed to her community, the Spanish-speaking community, it's also my community, we're all together, but how can we reach out to people who may have barriers, even more barriers, and we're struggling? Can you imagine people who have no access to resources, no language? So we put our heads together and formed what we are on now, which was the Facebook Live and many other programs. But I thought it was time to check in after over 2 months of isolation and COVID. Where are we now? What are we seeing? Where are the gaps? What more can we do? How can we engage more people in this mental health outreach that we're doing? So that was the reason for pulling us all together. And thank you, Ali, for making time. So I think the first thing is, because you're really out there and you're really working with families and youth firsthand, are you seeing any trends? What are you dealing with right now, and what needs to be addressed? If people are listening, what can we do?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I have to say that, when early mid-March, it's hard to even remember. But that day when I worked for the school district and I was at one of the school campuses, and when this news erupted, I knew immediately to go to SBRN's, handbook, go straight to 8 cores of psychological first aid, because it was impactful to know that your whole life was going to change. And I knew immediately that the population that I work with was going to really suffer in ways that we in a way that some people won't even believe. And I think that's what has been hard to navigate. That I heard somebody say this, and they're so right. We're all in the same ocean, but we're all in different places. And, in some families, I've seen that, they're just surviving really with the bare minimum, and some were just trying to pull them out of the water. And just across the board, it's different. So for responders, anybody's working with the community, I think I've been kind of split into 2 things, which is the family and the youth, and then also our service providers, because it's the service providers who are really, boots on the ground. And now we have to change our boots to something else and adjust and change. And every week is a different trend. From the beginning, it was kind of quiet, but I knew that that's not a good thing, right? Like something has to be created, which is why Gina and I got together and we started doing some PFA trainings. And then amidst right now, it's almost quiet again. Kind of like, what now? We're kind of confused. Things are up in the air. I have no information, and that creates a lot of anxiety. Although you see things opening, the families that I'm working with, the youth that I'm working with, there's so much deflation on their spirits, on the resources that they're using, kind of just almost like over it, fed up. And on what I'm seeing is we're starting to hear more families actually contracting this virus. So on one side of this town, you're hearing like, oh, things are elevating, we're going back to restaurants, things are opening. But on this other side, we're starting to see like people are starting to go to the clinic a lot more. You're starting to see more symptoms, fear. I've done some home visits where, sometimes I try to drop off some care packages just to say, hi, I'm here, I still see you. And it's eerie quiet. Like these neighborhoods are just really, really quiet. And with other service providers I've spoken to, it's, if they open the door, that there's a lot more people in there, and it's surprisingly very quiet, and that's not normal. So my concern right now is, how are we going to keep responding? And the keyword keep. We have been responding through this whole time. From day one, we really mobilized. I'm really proud to be part of the Santa Barbara response team because, we've been having the trainings. People who have been previously trained have stepped up. It's almost like having people that are speaking the common language has been so, oh gosh, it's a blessing, right? And you don't have to go into a really deep training. You already have the language, you already know the core actions, you already know the importance of taking care of yourself. We just have to keep reminding each other and be there for each other. So that has been an important component. Right now, it's more of like, how are we going to keep doing this when we're kind of also burning out, when we're also kind of tired, emotionally, taking in, in psychological first aid, we're always talking about vicarious trauma. And so much, I feel like I know so much about vicarious trauma these days that it's kind of like I kind of wish I didn't know so much. It's something that originated when after the Vietnam War. It's like when they finally started giving it words to use, and that's kind of what it feels like right now. It's like we're this complex trauma we're all trying to understand, and we're grieving all sorts of different things that hopefully at the end, or sometime soon, we can give it more verbiage to, because it's still up in the air and we're still just trying to respond and trying so hard not to react while we're managing our own emotions, regulating ourselves, and trying to keep families also, trying to keep them hope. And it's like we're trying to be peddling hope, but we have to take some breaks too. So there's a lot, and it's to be realistic. It's to say this is what I'm seeing on this angle. I'm sure everybody's seeing in different places, different scenarios, but with the families that I'm working with, the youth that I'm working with, a lot of grieving. And the concern for me is what I'm seeing is, how are we going to keep doing this, and what can we do together as a community to come up with a resource or ideas or just inspiration. I mean, inspiration right now can really flare up that flame of keep going, keep trying, keep adjusting and keep evolving during this time. In a nutshell.
I mean, yeah, amazing. Thank you, Allie.
Gina.
Forrest, what are you thinking about all this that's going on?
Well, the biggest thing that at least I can speak from my own experience here, because I'm not actually working with the public as closely as someone like Allie might be. I host these live streams, but I do know that what has been tremendously helpful for the people I know and have spoken with, as well as myself, is what you and I touched base in, Gina, on the very first Compassion Center deal, which is self-care. That was that right. Alone has literally kept me sane through this entire thing, and a lot of people who I know as well. So that can mean a great, there's a great spectrum of what that can mean. And there are an unlimited number of ways that people can practice self-care psychologically and physically and emotionally. There's all sorts of modalities and strategies. So, things as simple as healthy doses of sunshine, of getting it in nature, of journaling, of eating well and dietary supplements, etc. I mean, it's sort of simple, a lot of it, but the actual implementation is such a tremendous a boost in resiliency. It can really lead to that. So I would say that is what I'm always going to emphasize for people. And that might even include going and seeing a psychologist or a psychotherapist through this, because this whole collective experience has been, I just received a message today from somebody who was, a few months ago, I got into a little bit of an exchange of messages with about the situation that, there was some strong disagreement. There was some, right. And she came back and she apologized for how reactive she was at the time, and how this whole experience, well, really what she shared is that at the time she couldn't sleep well. She wasn't sleeping well. She just felt so anxious all the time, and it was an enormous disturbance to her mind-body system. So that's the kind of experience I think a lot of people have had. And so just to help people see more clearly and be more clear-eyed through, despite whatever emotional reactions might be arising in their inner space, those practices of self-care can play a big part. So that's what I would have to say, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the only thing that's going to allow us to keep doing the work we're doing. And I think that when this hit, the first conversations we had were, okay, we're going to have to take care of ourselves, and we're going to have to teach the people that we're seeing or find out what they're doing to take care of themselves, because this is going to be a long journey. And it's important that we always get back to that. So what are you doing? And I know that there's many families, Ali, that you see that don't have the resources to be able to even sleep. They don't have food. They don't have money. We have people who are struggling with the basic needs. And so a lot of the calls that SBRN has been getting are for practical resources as well, like food and financial assistance. And what I think we need to keep in mind is that there are resources, but a lot of people are not connected with the networks that can get them to those resources.
Yeah.
What I see is a gap in communication with the families to say there is help. A recent example, a mother in Santa Maria with a 2-year-old baby who thought she had COVID. She did not speak English. She had no family. She lost her job. Her brother was dying of COVID, isolated with a baby. What's going to happen to my baby when I go into the hospital? Wow. Yes. What's going to happen to your baby when you go into the hospital? So we were able to connect her with nursing up there and the community health clinic and wraparound services. It turns out she didn't have COVID, but it opened her up to being able to get food and financial support. So there are so many people like that. So we have to be cognizant that they don't have the information. So I feel like part of SBRN's role recently has been to get as much information out through these Facebook Lives and just connecting people to the resources. when we talk about psychological first aid and why it's important right now, is because it's a way to be present with that person in the state that they're in. And you're not eliciting more from them. We're just being with them. If that's what they need is food and support and medical help, that's what they're going to get. And so I feel like we're a vital resource in the community because we don't have to follow the traditional guidelines of response. There's a call, we respond. And we find the people that can respond to that need. And that's a very unique service that we provide. And with that comes the philosophy behind SBRN, which is to be present with that person in pain and give them the I would say the belief in their own recovery and resilience. They have to have that belief. You can't fix them. Mm-hmm. So you have to, if you can do anything, is instill in them that it's their journey. But anyway, I just wanted to just make that clarification about how this is different than therapy.
Yeah, absolutely, Gina. What you're saying is so true because the first core action is to like contact and engagement, which is really what we've been doing a lot through SBRN. You had mentioned the gap, and I really want to address that yeah, there is a gap. And I think what we've done is following, it's a mindset, it's a belief, it's a practice of compassionate connections. And I think that's what has been for me, like when I learned about PFA and started practicing in everything that I do, not just, at work, but also with my relationships, how I respond to the community, it really does make a huge difference on creating that empathy. And one of the things I really like about PFA, it's not that like, we're going to do an assessment and then we're going to, create these reports. And it's really just a bridge, and it's really fast. It's a fast bridge, and it's practical. Like it doesn't take you to a whole different place you don't need to be at. It takes you right where you need to be at, but it's because we build a relationship with the person or the family, with the community, so that we can hear them out and actively listen. Like, what is it that you really need? And we know that each person's going to be different. Each need is going to be different. Like in some cases, okay, we need to get you an immediate assistance I need to encourage you to go to the clinic right now. In some cases, it's, hey, guess what? I know for one of my stories that I'm really holding on to these days is I have a youth that she loves painting, but she hasn't been able to paint, and that was her self-care. And again, she in the situation she's living in, this is something that will help her through all of it. And I was asking her, like, so how can I help you? And she said that it's really hard for her to focus, with all the noise and all the people around her. So I went and dropped off some headphones. And she's been painting all this long weekend and just letting go. And that's all she needed, just some headphones. Right. And I'm like, guess what? I have some extra headphones, but I'm not going to lie. It took a while for me to get to that point. And I think for us is to remember, keep trying as people who care. It's hard when you get rejected. And right now there is a lot of rejection around us too. And we can't take it personal. There's a lot of emotions, a lot of heightened feelings, a lot of discomfort in our bodies and our mind. Like there's so much happening. And that's part of the process. And just keep trying, keep sending out that message, that text. Sometimes I just drop off a lollipop in in the front, and that opens up a door of let's connect frequently. That kind of just keep trying something. But ultimately, what PFA also focuses on is the self-care, which to me is like, gosh, if I didn't do this training a while ago and I consistently go back to the training, I don't know if I would remember with all the, go to go back and take care of myself often. I heard a really beautiful, I don't know if you know that tale of the golden the goose eggs, the golden goose eggs. right? Where it's like this goose that just keeps giving gold eggs, right? And I heard this in a podcast today, which I hear a lot now to kind of motivate me and keep me inspired, is so you know this is the goose is you, like you are someone who's always giving so much and you're so rich and so, but you have to take care of yourself. Like if you knew you had a goose that's doing so much, would you just let it be and do whatever it wanted? You would take care of it. You would want it to eat the best kind of food. You wouldn't want to make sure it's kept in a safe place with fresh air. Like you would want it to be so healthy to keep giving you these golden eggs. And when I heard that, it just made so much sense to me. I'm like, of course, that is self-care, because I'm the I'm the goose. I'm giving so much, but I also need to take care of myself because I am. So going back to that, I love using analogies. By the way, I'm always using analogies.
Yes. That's a great analogy, actually. That's a beautiful analogy. And it's infectious, your spirit and your energy, and that lifts the other person. So when you are taking care of yourself like you are, then you're present and you're able to allow that person to also lift up, to rise up. They have to rise up, and we help them by being with them to rise up right now. And I think that's our work right now. Our work is these people are feeling very down and downtrodden, and we need to attend to that spirit.
So true. So how do you take care of yourselves? Or is there another question for us? Sorry. Oh, you're on mute, love.
We've railroaded for us interview.
Well, we could go with that question that you just asked if Jina wants to as well. But
Yeah.
There are a couple more about psychological first aid and how it's personally impacted you. Or we could share about exactly where and how people can get involved or how they can help. So there we have 3 questions we can go into, which are example ways to practice self-care, how psychological first aid has personally impacted us, and how the audience can get involved if they want to assist others through psychological first aid, or if they want to receive some support. But we only have about 5 minutes left here.
So yeah.
Go for Jina.
Well, I think Allie's question, about self-care is really important. We can touch on that just briefly, but I think that it's honoring my body, my emotions, and my spirit. And I think of my day as different behaviors to support one of those 3 aspects. So right now, this is being here with you. It's a somewhat spiritual experience because I'm like connecting with people I have a lot of feeling about. It's emotional. It has meaning for me. It's spiritual. And then I start my day taking care of my body and getting it centered, and my spirit with mindfulness. And my emotions today was not a good emotional day. So I asked a friend to talk, and we talked from a safe distance for an hour, and it shifted my mood. So those are the things I do. I check in and say, am I needing a little extra self-care? I'll reach out to a friend. Where am I? So I do a check-in, and I make sure that those 3 foundations are taken care of. So that's what I do.
In the trainings that we do, we talk a lot about each core action is paired with self-care. And that's how that's impacted my life, just to keep, like, if I'm stabilized, I can help someone else stabilize too. So I do a lot to, decompress.
Yeah. And you can
stabilize.
I mean, I can tell.
Yeah. So, well, there's an energy, right, Forrest? There's an energy.
Mhm.
that people have if they have been doing self-care. There's a presence and an allowing that happens. So you pick it up and people feel safe
Th-
in that space.
I think there's a joy as well, and sort of a vibrancy,
Yeah.
and there's almost a lightness there.
Mhm.
You know, like there's
Mhm.
there's not the heaviness of stress or fear or anger and all those emotional patterns. There's almost a joy that
Mhm.
and when I meet someone who is really committed to their self-care and very self-honoring, that's what I
Mhm.
often notice about them. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I'm with
And it's not
Ali.
selfish.
What?
And it's not selfish.
No,
Self-care is
and
not selfish.
can I
Oh,
say something really quick about that? Because that's so true. You know, I don't know if anybody experiences this, but sometimes I feel guilty, especially during times like this, knowing, you know, just connecting with the suffering of other people. Sometimes my self-care is like, oh gosh, like what a privilege. But you know, I really want to really emphasize that it's like, you know, that guilt, that shame is just a cloud around gratitude. So that's why it's so important to just, you know, air it out, because we all do so much in all areas of our life, and so we all deserve to be able to take care of ourselves in the way that we can. So I just really want to advocate first for, you know, taking care of yourself.
it's so important. I mean, I know
Mhm.
personally that if it's what got me through this crisis, like and feeling a
Mhm.
lot of calm through it is nature walks and the exercise and the healthy eating, etc. Is and you know what? So it may feel selfish, or people may have guilt or shame around it. But there's a great story. I think it's from the Old Testament um, about filling up one's cup and allowing it to overflow. But it doesn't overflow unless you fill your cup first. You know, so let's say the cup is your own well-being, and the ability for you to really naturally serve the interests and the welfare of those around you comes from filling up your own cup first, at least if you want it to be sustainable. um, so you know, in a sense, that kind of self-honoring is a prerequisite for a sustainable uh, ability to serve humanity or one's community effectively.
Yes.
And so
Mhm.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you know, just some thoughts around that. So for those who may feel guilty or shameful around their self-care, you could maybe reframe it a little bit like that, which is very helpful.
Yeah, I reframe it in saying I'm being responsible to myself.
Sure.
Mhm.
So okay,
Yeah.
now we are at the 5:30 mark here, so I just quickly want to ask how uh, people can get involved with psychological first aid, both as far as contributing it to others, but also receiving the support they may need. Would you share a little bit
Mhm.
about that?
Mhm. Well, they can certainly call the SBRN line, which I don't have written down here, but Forrest has, so he can put it in the chat. And but we can certainly call, and we'll have people English and Spanish. The line is bilingual, so anybody can call if they need help. They can email sbresponsenetwork.org. That's our website. They can go on there and check out what we do, and also email us SB Response Network. What is it? SB Command or Santa Barbara Command.org. I'm terrible at things like that. But if you go to the website, everything is there. You can certainly tell us how you want to be a volunteer, if you want to be trained, if you want to just be part of the team. It's a broad network that encompasses the whole community. And if you want to get involved, there are numerous ways. And if you need help or you need help for someone else, reach out. Please reach out. And I'll let you, Forrest, tell us all the right information of where people can call and email.
Sure thing. Well, I've just posted it on Facebook, on the Facebook comments section. I've posted the phone number,
Great.
which is 805-699-5608. And it's 805-699-5608. And that is a number you can call if you need assistance or psychological first aid. You can also email us at sbrncommand@gmail.com. And finally, you can visit the website at sbresponsenetwork.org. Again, it's sbresponsenetwork.org. Now, a quick little announcement here as well is that we do have a new YouTube channel. So all the recorded compassion centers, just like this one over the past, I think we've been doing it for a month or two at this point.
Oh yeah, 2 months.
Couple months, are listed there both in Spanish and English. So just go to YouTube and type in Santa Barbara Response Network and you can find our channel there. And you know what? That looks like all the resources here regarding psychological first aid. And please get involved. We're in such a pivotal time right now, and such a sensitive time right now. And slowly but surely, I think we can all build back up the wholeness that we want to experience in our lives. So, anyways, do you two have any last words you want to share?
I'm always, if there's a need for PFA trainings, we've done it before and I'm happy to support in that way. So if there's a need and you let us know, we will respond. And, take care of yourselves. Really, really be so good to yourselves during this time.
Yeah. And I think, as Ali said, we can do psychological first aid training and online at this point, but in person. Eventually, we hope to be able to do that in English and Spanish, but also that right now, SBRN, so many people have been calling for whatever needs they have. Just feel free to reach out. I really want people to feel like they're not alone, that there's a community surrounding them, even though they might feel like they're alone. I think that message needs to get out more and more, that there are resources in our community. We're very fortunate. And that we can help you navigate that need to get you where you need to get, and we'll help with that. So I'd say that that's what we do here at the Santa Barbara Response Network. So reach out and stay safe and be kind to yourself, really kind to yourself.
Yeah, stay safe, be kind to yourself. And we will
Thank
see
you, Ali, and Forrest, for joining me in this conversation.
Thank you.
Well, it's a lot of fun. So thank you so much for the opportunity. And, I wish all our audience members well. And we'll see you soon at the next Compassion Center, which is, there's something going on tomorrow with the public library.
Oh, no, we're doing one tomorrow. Yes, join us tomorrow with the library. We're doing a Compassion Center, in partnership with the library, with Suzanne Grimacy from Behavior Wellness and Fran Wagonet and myself, talking about mental health resources in the community. So tune in tomorrow at 5:30, and Forrest will be there also. Thank you.
All right, you all, take good care. And thank you both so much for your time, Jina and Ali. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.